My mother-in-law secretly invited my cheating ex-wife to my wedding. So I canceled everything and had a magical beach ceremony instead. I, 36M, still can't believe what happened last weekend. What should have been the happiest day of my life nearly turned into a complete disaster. All because my future mother-in-law decided to play family therapist without anyone's permission. My fiancé and I had been planning our wedding for almost a year. Nothing extravagant, just a nice ceremony at a historic venue in our city with about 80 guests. We'd put down deposits, sent invitations, and we're in the final countdown. Just 3 weeks to go. Then last Tuesday, I got a text from my buddy who works at the same company as my ex-wife. "Hey man, weird question, but is your ex coming to your wedding? She's telling everyone at work about the invitation she got." My stomach dropped. My ex and I were married for 4 years before it ended badly when I discovered she'd been cheating with her boss for most of our marriage. The divorce was finalized 3 years ago, and I've had zero contact with her since then. My fiancé knows the whole story and has been incredibly understanding about the baggage I carried from that relationship. I called my fiancé immediately, thinking there must be some misunderstanding. She was just as shocked as I was and swore she hadn't invited my ex. We started making calls, and eventually, my fiancé's mother answered with this casual tone like she was discussing the weather. "Oh yes, I sent her an invitation. I thought it would be good closure for everyone. Plus, she's such a lovely woman. We stayed in touch after your divorce. I think it's time everyone moved past old grudges." I was speechless. This woman had never even met my ex during my previous marriage. Apparently, they connected on Facebook after the divorce and had been friends ever since. My fiancé was mortified and started arguing with her mother while I just sat there, trying to process what was happening. When I finally found my voice, I asked, "Did you tell her about our wedding plans? The venue? The schedule?" "Well, of course, dear. She wanted to know all about it." That's when I knew we had a serious problem. My ex was vindictive during our divorce, even trying to claim half of an inheritance I received after my father passed, money I got 2 months after our separation. The thought of her showing up to my wedding, potentially causing a scene or just sitting there with a smug look while I said my vows. I couldn't handle it. My fiancé and I stepped outside to talk privately. She was in tears, apologizing for her mother's behavior. I told her this wasn't her fault, but we needed to figure out what to do. After an hour of discussion, we made a decision that some might call extreme. We canceled our venue, forfeited the deposit, and decided to completely change our wedding plans. The next morning, I called a beach resort about 4 hours away from our city. They had an opening for the same weekend due to a last-minute cancellation. It would cost more, but at that point, I didn't care. My fiancé called her closest friends and her father to explain the situation. I did the same with my family and friends. We sent out an emergency email to our guest list, explaining that due to unforeseen circumstances, our wedding location had changed. We provided the new details only to those who confirmed they could still attend, and we arranged transportation for elderly relatives. My future mother-in-law was the last to know. When my fiancé finally told her, 3 days before the wedding, she exploded. She couldn't believe we would change everything without consulting her. She threatened not to come, to which my fiancé calmly replied, "That's your choice, Mom." The wedding was last weekend. The beach ceremony was more beautiful than we could have imagined. The sunset provided better lighting than any photographer could arrange in our original venue. My fiancé's father walked her down the aisle with tears in his eyes. Our closest friends and family surrounded us with love and support. My mother-in-law did show up, though she pouted through most of the ceremony. My ex-wife, from what I heard later, actually showed up at the original venue, dressed to impress, only to find an empty hall and a confused staff member who told her the wedding had been canceled weeks ago. As we danced under the stars at our reception, my wife whispered to me, "This is so much better than what we planned." And she was right. Sometimes the best things happen when your original plans fall apart. My mother-in-law is still giving us the cold shoulder, insisting we overreacted and embarrassed her. My wife has told her that she needs to apologize before we can move forward. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm also not losing sleep over it. If there's one thing I've learned from this experience, it's that sometimes you have to be willing to walk away from your plans to protect your peace. And marrying my best friend on that beach, with the people who truly support us, was worth every penny of that lost deposit. Update 1. It's been a week since our beach wedding, and things have gotten even more complicated with my mother-in-law. She's now telling extended family members that we overreacted and that she was just trying to help heal old wounds. Several of my wife's aunts have called to suggest we apologize to her for the last-minute change that embarrassed the family. My wife finally snapped yesterday and told her mother exactly how inappropriate her actions were. She pointed out that inviting someone's ex-spouse to their wedding without permission isn't just a faux pas. It's a deliberate attempt to create drama. She asked her mother point blank. Would you have wanted Dad's girlfriend from his affair at your wedding? That finally shut her up. Meanwhile, we've been getting messages from guests telling us our beach wedding was the most beautiful, intimate ceremony they've ever attended. Several said the change of venue made it feel more special, like they were part of something truly meaningful rather than just another formal event. My ex-wife apparently went on a social media rant about being tricked into going to an empty venue, though she conveniently left out the part about not being invited by either of the actual people getting married. A mutual friend showed me screenshots where she claimed we changed venues just to spite her, as if our entire wedding revolved around her feelings. The delusion is almost impressive. My wife and I leave for our honeymoon tomorrow, 2 weeks in a country far away from all this drama. We've decided to turn off our phones except for emergency contact with my brother, who's watching our apartment. I think we both need the break from family politics to just enjoy being newlyweds. Update 2. It's been 3 months since our wedding, and I'm happy to report that things have finally settled down. Our honeymoon was exactly what we needed. Time away from everyone to connect as a married couple without the stress of wedding planning or family drama. When we returned, my mother-in-law had sent a bouquet of flowers to our apartment with a card that read, "I'm sorry for overstepping. I hope we can talk soon." It wasn't the most effusive apology, but it was a start. My wife called her, and they had a long conversation about boundaries and respect. Her mother admitted she'd stayed in touch with my ex partly because she never fully accepted our divorce. She had this fantasy that we might reconcile someday, even after I met her daughter. My wife established clear boundaries: no contact with my ex moving forward, and no major decisions regarding our lives without consulting us first. Her mother agreed, though I'm still keeping my guard up. As for my ex, she's apparently engaged to someone new, which might explain why she was so eager to show up at my wedding, to prove she'd moved on, or something equally petty. I genuinely hope she's changed, and that her new relationship is healthy. Either way, it's no longer my concern. The best part of all this? My wife and I have framed photos from our beach wedding all over our apartment, and every time I look at them, I'm reminded that sometimes the universe has better plans than the ones we make. That sunset ceremony, with waves crashing in the background as we said our vows, couldn't have been more perfect if we'd planned it that way from the beginning. Sometimes I think I should thank my mother-in-law for her boundary violation. Without it, we would have had a perfectly nice but forgettable wedding in that historic venue. Instead, we got a magical evening that truly reflected our relationship: adaptable, resilient, and beautiful even when things don't go according to plan. Life has a funny way of working out exactly as it should, even when it seems to be falling apart. And that's something I'll remember through all the ups and downs of marriage that lie ahead. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.